I'm Bruce Wilson, treasurer of the Cadillac Kings Car Club Orange County chapter. I helped develop our chapter 14 years ago. Got involved with LA, and then we wanted to open in Orange County, and Huntington Beach was the destination about 14 years ago. I'm the treasurer. At one time, I was sort of self-appointed as the recruiter. I see a car, I pull it over and see if he wants to come see what we do. But just the treasurer, I look after bank. The Cadillac Kings Car Club is something I wanted to be involved with the minute I heard about it, because I'd bought an old car. I wanted a Cadillac, and I knew that the best networking opportunities would be to be with other like-minded individuals, people that are strictly Cadillac owners. Oh, you caught me off guard. About our chapter, I like the fact that we were in Huntington Beach on Main Street, 4 blocks off Coast Highway, which is the Pacific Ocean. And the summertime, the 5-6 months of the summer when we're meeting there, there's a lot of eye candy running around. It's a nice place to hang out with the cars. Probably a 60 flat top, slammed, and a dark green metal paint job.
So that's your favorite? That'd be the dream?
I have a 61 that's painted that color, but I like the 60 flat top. Doubtful. Unless they ran out of fuel, fossil fuel, I wouldn't go electric. I could, but it's not a choice I'd make. It ground to a halt initially because nobody knew what was going on. Very reluctant to get into a gathering just to be broken up by the forces that may be. 4, 5, 6 months in, our chapter decided to get together in a place and hopefully not be thrown out. And we had a small meeting, talked about making this thing grow a little bit more in volume, people in attendance. It definitely slowed us down. Growth, and we really need leaders in this thing. Otherwise, it's just a social gathering. We need people that can create an agenda and find fun things to do. Cruises are always a really good thing to do. But growth. At about 22 members last year, it's always hovered between 20 and 30 members any given year for the last 13, 14 years in the Orange County. Like to see it get to around 50. I don't know that there needs to be a cap unless something were to spiral out of control in a region or a specific chapter. And I think in the past, we've had very, very few incidences that are undesirable for our face, our brand, whatever. And we've squashed it immediately. Those members are no longer members. It's very few. There's a bunch of good-minded, good-natured people that own Cadillacs that want to be involved with this club. Recently, it was a cold day in hell. She was with me yesterday for our photo shoot in Huntington Beach. She likes to come out. She likes the cars. No, I live close to the Inland Empire chapter, but LA was the only chapter. They split. Inland Empire and LA were the first 2 chapters when I'd learned about LA. Didn't want to drive there any longer. Ryan and myself, both in Orange County, decided to start a chapter in Orange County. It was Huntington Beach, and we were the 3rd chapter. So it's been a long time. I'm happy to drive the distance I do to go to our meetings. Huntington's a nice place to hang out. As the 3rd chapter, I never envisioned 39. And I didn't really give it a lot of thought because I'm not one of the guys. I'm recruiting for our chapter so we can have more cars in our neighborhood. I never thought of the bigger picture 10, 15 years down the road. And it seems to me that the real growth spurt probably started 6, 7 years ago. It seems like we were 8, 10 chapters 8, 10 years ago, maybe. I'm not sure on the timeline, but I'm not surprised that it has grown. I'm extremely happy to be a member, to be involved. I have no regrets. I like everybody in the club. There's a few that I've rubbed the wrong way, or they've rubbed me the wrong way. they've had some issues and they're no longer with the club. Nothing to do with me. I don't say who comes and goes. But when there's a bad element, it's recognized pretty quickly and eradicated if it needs to be. So I'm very happy being in Orange County, dealing with the bank, making sure that club's funded to do what we want to do. And my probably the most joy I get out of the club is when we do have something like an all chapters barbecue where you meet people from Canada, from England, from the East Coast. It's nice that these people will travel that distance. And the all chapters barbecues are great. I look forward to the next one. I don't believe Orange County got involved with us as the leader. A few of our people joined with the Inland Empire. I don't remember if LA had an event where some of our members came up and joined in. But as regards charitable events, money gathering, etc., we, as the Orange County chapter, like to put out $1,000, $2,000 a year, whatever we can afford, after the small dues we all pay, to donate to a charity that we as a club, as a chapter, recognize and think that's a good place for the money to go. A lot of the time it will have to do with children somehow, whether it's a cancer research or something. I like the fact that there's a club bylaw that everybody must adhere to or be dealt with. And I don't mean that in a bad way, but I mean, there's rules. Each chapter is allowed to create their own bylaws, provided they do not step on or alter the existing bylaws of the club as a whole. So we've implemented a few things where we want to do a toy run during Christmas, we'll deliver to a fire department or something along those lines. Pediatric Cancer Research Fund has received an offering from our chapter on 2 or 3 occasions. We've even gone to an establishment that sells food to just being part of a car show, and at the same time have a little booth set up raising money for that specific organization on that particular time. And they'll send a representative around, we'll present a little check to them and it's just within the chapter. It's nothing for the public. I don't know that the public knows what we do. No, but I'm in favor of it. I like to raise money for these things, and I think it lends positivity to our brand as Cadillac owners, as a Cadillac club. I don't think there should be a mandatory, you must do something beneficial to those in need, a charity, whatever. I don't think it should become a mandatory or a bylaw. I think the nature of this club and the members I've met and heard from around the United States, etc., they're all fairly well off, I guess, but I think they all have good intentions, and I think that there's probably, we're not the only chapter doing this. There's other chapters out there, I'm sure, that are throwing a few bones around to those that need it, and I encourage that, but I don't think it needs to be a rule, a bylaw. I'm going to say 14.
It's going to be 14 to the grave, or what? You going to write it out?
I'll be around for a while. I'm one of the older guys now, and I never wanted to be in a club that was a bunch of old boys talking war stories and carburetors, because I don't know that much about the working orders of a car. I just like a nice car that runs well. But as an old boy now, I expect to see myself involved with the Cadillac Kings for another 10 years or longer. At the Mildenhall Air Force Base out there, it's a U.S. base, I know that they would put on something like a small-scale car show once a year, and it was probably the American people on the base would have their cars come over because they're going to do some time over there, and then they could have their own little culture. But it seemed to be more of an American thing. I know there's a car culture over there with old English vehicles and probably some old European vehicles, but I don't know anything about them. I just know that you get an old car and a few other people have the like mind, and they'll get together. I don't think it's anywhere as big as we are here in the United States with our cars, our classics, our muscles, etc. Thank you for your time.